Will House come to order? Mr. Clerk?
Aloha and good morning. Today's invocation will be delivered by Representative Luke A. Evslin. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
Please remain seated. Good morning. So as you all know, my first time here on the floor chamber was just a few weeks ago. And two things stood out to me that day and continue to stand out to me. One is that there's this big orb hanging from the ceiling, and I wonder every single day what it does. Does it light up? Does it descend? Does it open up? As a colleague said, maybe it's a black widow's nest. I'm not sure. But the other thing is we are surrounded by koa wood in here. There's koa desks, koa panels, koa benches on the top. And there's really only one other place in Hawaii that I've seen this much koa, which is the annual HCRA State Canoe Paddling Championships. And as most of you know, it's the one race a year where all of the koa canoes from all across the state come to one place to race against each other. And it's amazing. There's 40 or 50 canoes lined up on the beach. Every single one of them is unique. Everyone is beautiful, and they're all entirely made out of koa. And on my first day here on the floor chamber, I was thinking a lot about my first time in a koa canoe. And I was 12 years old. I'd been paddling for less than a year. I'd been steering for less than 2 weeks. And I was here at Ke'ehi Lagoon to race underneath our club tent, Kaiola Canoe Club, just terrified. And I was there to steer a crew for my first time in a koa canoe. And this guy came up to me, and I think maybe he felt pity on me, or he was trying to scare me even more. But he said, you know, when you get in a koa canoe, you're paddling not only with the crew members in the canoe, but you're paddling with all of your ancestors who came before you and all of your descendants who will come after you. And, gave me some confidence. Went out there, we did the race, we came in last place, and I got the crew disqualified because I steered across multiple lanes and interfered with another canoe. And so maybe my Jewish ancestors from Europe weren't very good outrigger canoe paddlers. But the metaphor has stuck with me, and I think about it every time I get into a koa canoe, and I've been thinking about it a lot here in this room, and that I think it holds pretty well for what we do here. There's 51 of us. We represent certainly every single living person in Hawaii. And in my opinion, we represent all of those also who came before and all of those who will come after us. And while that could feel like this monumental burden or heroic task to try and represent everybody who is, everybody who ever was, and everybody who ever will be, for me, the other part of the metaphor is just a sense of perspective and scale. In that, in the life of the koa in here, in the life of this building, in the life of these lands, we're just this teeny little blip, right? This one little kind of moment in time. And then for us, when we're here in the crew, in the canoe together, our job is to keep it going as straight as we can, keep it going forward until it's our turn to hand it off to the next crew. And so as we finish out session here, that's my hope. We'll keep going forward, stroke by stroke, bill by bill, and then always try to remember who we represent in its entirety. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Evslin. Item 1, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alkos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Ganadin, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Hashimoto, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey Burdick,
Excuse.
Ms. Ichiyama, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Ms. Lachika, Ms. Lamosao, Ms. Lowen,
Excuse.
Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez,
Excuse.
Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima,
Excuse.
Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pirik, Ms. Poe Poe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Saiki, Mr. Sayama, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takayama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward,
Excuse.
Mr. Woodson,
Excuse.
Mr. Yamashita. Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 45 members are present, 6 are excused.
Thank you. Item 2, reading of the journal. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, may this matter be deferred?
So ordered. Item 3, Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if you and the members will turn your attention to the addendum to today's order of the day. We are in receipt of communications informing the House that the Senate has appointed conferees to the noted House and Senate bills.
Members, are there any introductions? Representative Evslin.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to introduce my staff who's here today. We have my office manager, Malia Adams. If you can stand. We have Elena Arinaga and Pam Sini. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
With no further introductions, we're moving on to announcements. Members, are there any announcements?
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Kitakawa.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Finance requests a waiver of the 48-hour notice requirement for the purpose of conducting a committee meeting for the purpose of decision-making only on 4 resolutions. SCR 18, SD1, HD1 related to the auditor doing an assessment of health insurance coverage for various sexual and reproductive health care services. SCR 92 relating to mitigation and control of feral chickens, roosters, and pigs. SCR 104 urging Hawaii's congressional delegation to reintroduce a bill related to blood quantum for DHHL's successor lessees. And SCR 132 related to MedQuest and rates for applied behavior analysis services.
So ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Decision-making will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, April 19th at 2 p.m. in Conference Room 308.
With no further announcement, Representative Kong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow, in honor of our military dependents, it's Purple Up Day. So please wear your purple. Thank you, sir.
With no further announcements, Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow.